Okay, let's do an example here. So the first question in the example that you have in the slides is to calculate the break-even point in unit and in dollars. So what is our break-even point in units? Question 1. It's the fixed cost. We know the formula now. Divide by P minus V, which is the unit contribution margin. The fixed cost is 400,000 plus 100,000. We divide that by P minus V, which is 5, and we get 100,000 units. So we need 100,000 units to break even. Okay. Now, what is the break even in dollars? Break even in dollars is 100,000 times 15. Okay. Or, okay, the break even in dollars. Another formula for break even in dollars is, how much is this? Is 1,500,000. Or break-even in dollars, the formula would be the fixed cost divided by the contribution margin ratio, right? We calculate earlier the contribution margin ratio, which is 33%. So it's going to be $500,000 the fixed cost divided by 0.3333. Okay, you get something closer to 1,500,000. That's the break-even in dollars and in units. Now, the second question is asking us to calculate the number of units and sales in dollars to achieve a desired profit of $150,000. So, question 2. So, the number of units Q to achieve a profit equal to $150,000. Again, just using the formula is going to be F plus the profit divided by the P minus V. Just plug in the numbers here. So F is still $500,000. The profit is $150,000. That's our desired profit. And divide by the P minus V, which is 5, the unit contribution margin, right? Okay, so that will give us number of units to achieve a desired profit equal to 130,000 units. Okay, now they're asking us about the sales in dollar to achieve that desired profit. So we calculate the units, physical unit, to achieve that desired profit. Now we need to calculate the sales in dollars to achieve that desired profit. Let's continue here. Okay, sales in dollars to achieve $150,000. You can use two methods are available here. First, just use the number of units, physical units, and multiply by 15. Or second, you just divide the fixed cost plus the profit divided by the contribution margin ratio. Okay, so when we say contribution margin ratio, here we calculate it. Okay, so what do we have here? Sales in units in dollars going to be times 15, which is 1,950,000. And then if you plug in the numbers here, so F is $500,000 plus the profit 150 divided by 0.33. which is our contribution margin, you get something closer to this, 1,950,000. Because of rounding, you get like a little bit slightly different number figure here. Okay, that will take care of question 2, but before I move to question 3, when they tell us that the contribution margin is 0.33%, what does it tell us about the percentage of variable cost? Must be the remaining, which is percentage of variable cost then is, or the variable cost percentage is going to be what? 0.67. Okay, so the total will represent the sales, which is 100%, right? So if they give us the contribution margin ratio equal to 20%, then we infer that the percentage of variable cost must be the 80%, remaining 80%. Okay, this is very important to understand that, you know. So now, let's move to the third question, which is, assume that the company is increasing its advertising expense by $10,000 in order to increase the volume by 1,000 units. What will be the impact on its profit? And should the company increase its advertising expenses? Okay? Good. Let's do it then. Question 3. Okay. Question 3. Okay. So we said that, you know, when we increase our advertising by 10,000, and advertising expense is a typical example of discretionary fixed cost, like maintenance, like research and development. These are called discretionary fixed cost. Why discretion? Because they are left at discretion of managers. They will budget for these expenses every year. Okay, so $10,000, and then that will, you know, increase our unit by 1,000 units sold. Remember, we can use 2 methods here to answer the question. The first method, building on the contribution margin per unit. What did we say? Contribution margin per unit. Each unit will increase the profit by, or increase the contribution margin in this case, because we have an increase in fixed costs here. So each unit will increase the contribution margin by $5. Then what is the increase? That stands for increase in contribution margin. Increase in contribution margin would be what? 1,000 times 5, which is 5,000. But the incremental, here the incremental contribution margin, or the variation of contribution margin, the increase in contribution margin, they mean the same thing. Incremental fixed cost, F, is going to be the advertising cost, which is $10,000. So, are we better off advertising? No, because the net loss will be, because this is a cost, the net loss will be $5,000 loss, right? You can say that's $5,000 loss. So we would not undertake this advertising project or advertising plan. Why? Because it will lower our profit. Let's confirm it. Let's using the second method by reproducing the income statement. We know that based on sales, the sales in units, we know that the sales in units from previous question, we said 130,000 units, okay, will allow us to generate a profit of $150,000. That's the profit, right? Let's see now. Let's reproduce the income statement using 130,000 units. So sales will be 1,950,000. How did we get 1,950,000? Just 130,000 units times 15, right? And then the variable cost is 1,300,000. How did we get? This is again based on 130,000 units sold, right? How did you get 130? It's going to be how do you get 1,300,000? Okay, it's 130,000 times 10. Okay, so it's going to be 130,000 times 15, 130,000 times 10. Then our contribution margin, remember the difference between sales and variable cost is the contribution margin, CM. I'm abbreviating, is 650. And then the fixed cost, we know that is $500,000. That will arrive, give us yield and operating income. OI stands for operating income. I'm abbreviating, guys. Now, if we increase advertising here by 10,000, okay, invest in advertising 10,000, what will happen to our sales? It will go up from 130,000 to 131,000, right? So it's going to be, the sales will be 1,965,000. So this is without advertising, with advertising. Okay, and then the variable cost would be what? 131,000 times 10, which is 1,310,000. So that will give us a contribution margin of 655. Now, how much would be our fixed cost? Now, our fixed cost will go up by 10,000 from 500 to, since we invested in advertising. So it's going to be 510,000. That will give us an operating income of 145,000, which is 5,000 less than the status quo without status quo, which is without advertising. We get this answer by using the contribution margin per unit.